Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsey. Today I'm excited to share with you my last alternative card that I have made with the September 2023 paper pumpkin kit called With Love and Gratitude. If you're interested in seeing how I made the intended projects or any of my other alternative projects that I've shared this week, you can visit the playlist and I'll link it up here in the top right corner. Today's card uses up those leftover scraps that we've been holding on to all week. So let's go ahead and get started. So the 4 pieces that we're going to be using that should be left over from the last 5 projects are the square from the Cardbase. We have a small rectangle from the box. We have a larger piece that's got the curve of the coordinating envelope pattern. And then we have the gold piece. So let's go ahead and start cutting some of these into the shapes that we need for our card. Let's start with our gold, and we're going to just really cut this in half. We're just using a little strip at the top and bottom as an accent piece on our card. So we can put that off to the side. This piece also is going to stay the same. For our envelope, we are going to cut this down and we're just going to make it square. So the envelope has a little adhesive here, so make sure to cut that off. We don't want that to show. So let's go ahead and cut that at 2.5 inches here on the left. I think that should remove the amount that we need off that adhesive. Okay, and you can kind of just tilt it at an angle, see if you see any of that adhesive. And then we're going to even up the sides. So the size here doesn't really matter. We just want it to be a rectangle, so we don't want any angled edges. All right, so we're going to use that whole piece, and then the other pieces are all good to go. So our card base is thick basic white cardstock, and then I have a card front that has been embossed with the star pattern. That also is from the basic embossing folders that you can get online. This piece is cut to 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches. So we're not going to add everything to the card base quite yet. We're going to add things to our embossed paper first, and then we'll do everything to the card base with dimensionals. So let's start by adding the gold to the top and bottom of our Lost Lagoon pattern piece. So I'm going to add a little adhesive on one side of each of those gold pieces, and then just eyeball about 1/8 of an inch or so in the center. And repeat on the other side. So it's going to look something like that. The next piece we're going to add is the pattern piece, and I'm going to add that with dimensionals. But before we do that, we do need to add this to our embossed paper. So I'm going to use liquid adhesive again. I think that's the best adhesive to use when embossed paper is being used, and this goes right in the center of that embossed paper. So there'll be a little border on the left and right, and then a larger border at the top and bottom. And you do want to make sure that it's on there nice and straight. So if using your grid paper helps, then do that. And then we'll add our pattern paper. This goes right up to the edge. Let's bring it down just a little bit. So that's on the right edge of that embossed paper. And then we're going to add this piece. And this is going to be a little tricky. Now, I didn't add any dimensionals in the center because we're going to stamp on this piece. But the thing is, we don't really know where we need to stamp it until it's already on the piece. So just keep that in mind. This one also doesn't have any dimensionals. This is nice and flat. So if you do want dimensionals, you can put them along the sides to support, but I'm just going to add a little adhesive in the top corner here. And it's going on the left side of the card base. Make sure it's nice and even on that side. Okay, so smooth out that glue. So it's going to look something like this. This is where we're at right now. So I did want to add some ribbon. So I've got two different types of ribbon here. I have this white cotton ribbon that's nice and thick. I'm going to place that near the bottom. So flip that over and add some tear and tape to the edges so that it has something to hold on to. Okay, so I do have tear and tape on the back, but I want to make sure this goes on nice and straight. So I'm going to kind of just eyeball from the front where I want that to go, and then wrap those edges to the back. Just like that. Then you'll take some linen thread, and the linen thread is 19 inches or so, and I'm going to add this in the center of the white ribbon. And you want that to be somewhere in the middle of your card. And then when we're ready, we're going to stamp the greeting. And I'm going to use Pebbled Path, but you can use any coordinating color or neutral color. And again, I'm going to stamp it right onto this paper here. Now, when you do that, you want to make sure that you have no ink along your clear block, because it will definitely get somewhere. So make sure your ink is only on your stamp. And it's going to look like that. Then we're going to add our leaf element. Okay, so just like I shared yesterday, we're going to do the same technique for this leaf stamp. So I'm going to add a little bit of Lost Lagoon all over. Then take your Mossy Meadow, and if you have a sponge dauber, you can even use a different color green here, but I'm just going to add a little bit of green to each of those leaves. And then I'm going to take my copper clay Stampin' Write marker and add copper clay to the stem of these leaves. And then Pebbled Path to the berries. And I want to get that same kind of speckled look to this image. I don't want it to be nice and solid. So just like yesterday, I'm going to take a little tissue paper and kind of blot the color just a little bit. Add a little more warm breath to it so that you can kind of reactivate the ink that's there, and you're going to get this really beautiful image that is similar to the image on the pattern paper. I'm going to go ahead and fussy cut this out. All right, so once you've cut it out, go ahead and put some dimensionals on it, and then lift up the linen thread and tuck it underneath the linen thread off to the left of the greeting. And if you want to add that, like, you can kind of manipulate the linen thread a little bit to get to where you want it. So a little bit under and a little bit over, and it's looking so good. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this to the card base with dimensionals. So make sure to place enough dimensionals to support the card front, because there is a lot of weight with all those layers. Then you're going to add it to a card base of thick basic white cardstock, and make sure to add it so that the border all the way around is nice and even. And then the very last thing that you can add, if you'd like, are some sequins. And I'm going to use those gold sequins again. Place one down by the greeting and a couple up near the top of my stamp. And your card is all done. Well, I hope you have enjoyed watching me create my last alternative with the September 2023 paper pumpkin kit. If you are interested in getting written instructions or seeing close-up images on how I created this card, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.